The Food and Nutrition Research Institute's Sensory Evaluation Laboratory primarily serves the sensory evaluation needs of FNRI in-house researchers. FNRI SEL assists food industries with their product to move up the value chain and attain global competitiveness through research, teaching or training, and consultancy service. The laboratory is designed following ISO requirement for sensory evaluation. It has a preparation room equipped with chiller and freezer, microwave oven, cooking range, utensils for food preparation and service, a conference room for group discussions, hand washing station, and 10 partitioned evaluation booths with computers, controlled lighting, noise, and temperature. One of FNRI SEL's best assets are the trained and experienced managers, sensory analysts, and sensory panelists. The laboratory employs internationally acceptable and validated test methods and computerized data collection through their customized eSEL software. FNRI SEL offers various services to help food industries with their product development. Consumer acceptability and preference test helps identify which flavor, smell, texture, and appearance is preferred. Descriptive and sensory profiling test includes development of language for product significant attributes and creates its sensory blueprint. Difference test is a procedure used for quality monitoring of in-between batch consistency or changes of product quality through time. Other services: seminars and trainings on sensory evaluation, panelist recruitment and training, consultation on experimental design, computerized data collection. The sensory facilities are used to educate students, entrepreneurs, technical staff of food industries, as well as managers and decision makers on the science of food acceptance. Knowledge on sensory evaluation helps identify which flavors, smell, texture, and appearance deliver to the highest consumer likings. How to avail the services? FNRI SEL plans to extend their sensory evaluation expertise to meet the needs of food-related and consumer products industries. Future endeavors for FNRI SEL, which will ensure consumer perception will be the heart of FNRI food innovation, are the following: infrastructure development to cater testing for appearance, odor, texture, taste, development of expert panels, computerization of data management system with application of sensometrics to extract information from large sensory data, and development of staff competency on fields of flavor science, human behavior, and statistics. The final judge of food quality is our customer. Understand customer insights and consider sensory evaluation as a tool to measure customer satisfaction. Thinking quality? Thinking sensory? Talk to us.
We are happy to announce that the expanded National Nutrition Survey 2021, or the ENNS Year 3, has resumed data collection. So the first deployment started on July 1 at the province of Tarlac. Other Luzon areas will be covered in mid-July until December of this year. 6 areas in the Visayas region will also be included. Pre-survey coordination meetings are also arranged to comply with the health and safety protocols. Online training for researchers who are nutritionists, dietitians, and nurses will resume next week after the seminar series. So we need researchers po, especially for Visayas region. The team also deployed in Cotabato City on July 5. Pre-survey coordination meetings are ongoing in other 9 areas to arrange the health and safety protocols needed to enter the province, which will also be covered in August until December of this year. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome you again to the second day of the DOST-FNRI Seminar Series Virtual Edition. So we hope that you enjoyed and learned a lot from our previous technical session on nutrition assessment. So I am Vanessa Ramas, and I will be your moderator for this session on nutrition tools and product innovation. So before we start, allow me to share some important reminders. So this technical session is simulcast live via DOST-FNRI official YouTube channel. Next, if you haven't registered for this seminar series, kindly scan the QR code or go to the link shown on your screen. Please make sure to time in for this session by accomplishing the attendance form provided in the chat box. This is needed for your PRC CPD units. After the session, you have to answer the post test at the FSS website. The post test link will serve as your logout for this technical session. So failure to answer the post test will mean that you did not log out for this technical session. For the post test, you will be asked to input an FSS technical session code, which will be announced at the end of this session. Failure to provide the correct FSS technical session code will mean that you did not answer the post test. Hence, you will not receive a certificate for the session. Also, only registered participants will be given certificates for the 47th DOST-FNRI seminar series. This will only be available once you have completed the post test and feedback evaluation forms. Also, to our participants, please feel free to ask questions. So we encourage you to key in your questions in the Q&A box below your screens. Our panelists will address selected questions during the open forum. However, in the interest of time, we may not be able to answer all of them. Okay. Again, good afternoon, everyone. So technical session 2 will underscore the DOST-FNRI's innovative approaches for improving maternal, newborn, child nutrition, and health. In the absence of a universal definition of innovations in the area of maternal and child health, the Institute offers a wide-ranging innovative proposition, from technology generation to product development, and yes, to a menu guide calendar that organizes days and nutrition in one glance. This afternoon, we will take a look at recently concluded studies on nutrition tools and product innovation targeted towards addressing the nutritional concerns of different vulnerable groups. But first, allow me to introduce the 3 researchers from the Institute who will share the results of their studies. Our first speaker is Ms. Mayan D. Heronella, Science Research Specialist 1 at the Recipe Development Unit of the Food Research and Development Section. She has received her Bachelor of Science in Nutrition degree at the University of the Philippines, Los Baños, and is currently completing her master's degree in Public Health Nutrition at the University of the Philippines, Manila. Ms. Hiranella's area of expertise includes recipe development, menu evaluation, nutrition tools development, and food safety. She has authored and co-authored several publications and handbooks, which has earned her team awards such as the Gourmand World Cookbook Awards in 2013 for Lutong FNRI brown rice recipes para sa Lahing Kayumanggi, which was awarded as the best single subject cookbook in the Philippines, and the Inventors Award for Copyright from the Institute. For this technical session, Ms. Heronella will talk about the development of 2021 FNRI Menu Guide Calendar recipes for complementary feeding of infants and young children 6 to 23 months old. Our next speaker is Ms. Aiza B. Omali, Project Assistant 3 at the Food Fortification Unit of the Food Research and Development Section. Ms. Omali graduated with a degree of Bachelor of Science in Food Technology from the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. She has authored and co-authored publications in peer-reviewed journals titled Physico-Chemical and Functional Properties of Starch from Philippine Edible Canna, an exploratory study on the consumption of instant noodles among dormitory residents, which were published in the Journal of Microbiology, Biotechnology, and Food Sciences, and in the Philippine Journal of Nutrition, respectively. Ms. Omali has also been recognized as co-inventor of several utility models. Today, Ms. Omali will share with us her research findings from the study on the production of fortified food products for women of reproductive age, pregnant, and lactating women. Our third speaker is Mr. Alex M. Palomo, Senior Science Research Specialist at the Nutritional Food Unit of the Food Research and Development Section. He received his Bachelor of Science in Food Technology degree from the Polytechnic University of the Philippines. Mr. Palomo completed his Master of Science in Food Technology at the Ghent University in Belgium. Food product and process development, post-harvest, and food processing are among Mr. Palomo's area of expertise. With his extensive background in food processing and development, Mr. Palomo has received several awards, including the International Publication Award in 2020, Utility Model Awards in 2018 and 2020 also, and Grant and Patent Award in 2017. For this session, Mr. Palomo will discuss the findings from his research study titled Technology Innovation for the Production of Enteral Food Formula. Let us all welcome Ms. Heronella, Ms. Omali, and Mr. Palomo. So, without further ado, here is our first panelist for technical session 2, Ms. May Ann D. Heronella.
So good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of our project team, I will be presenting our project entitled Development of the 2021 FNRI Menu Guide Calendar, Recipes for Complementary Feeding of Infants and Young Children 6 to 23 months old. So this is a collaborative project of the Nutrition and Food Research and Development Division and the Technology Diffusion and Science and Technology Services Division of the DOST-FNRI. So before I proceed with my presentation, I would like to declare that the authors of this project have no known conflict of interest in relation to this presentation. So for the introduction, malnutrition is specifically undernutrition among children below 2 years old has been a persistent problem in the country. And the latest National Nutrition Survey showed that the prevalence of stunting is 21.9%, which means that 2 in every 10 children are stunted. On the other hand, the underweight exists at 14%. So in effect, malnutrition during the first 1,000 days of life causes physical and cognitive consequences, poor school performance, and less productivity of children. So by looking at the age groups, it is notable in the reports of the surveys that sharp increase in underweight and stunting occurs from 6 to 11 months old up to 12 to 23 months old. This period is also the transition phase to what we call complementary feeding. Exclusive breastfeeding is considered as the gold standard for infant feeding and nutrition. So this is because of the nutritional content of breast milk, its beneficial effect in the gut microbiome and in immune response. The message number 2 in the nutritional guidelines for Filipinos recommends continuous breastfeeding with appropriate complementary foods at 6 months and beyond. So basically, 6 months of age is the period of timely introduction of complementary foods. Complementary feeding is the transition from breast milk-based diet to inclusion of solid foods in infants' diet. And complementary foods are essential to meet the increasing nutritional demands of infants, which cannot be met by breast milk alone. During the past years, the first 1,000 days of life is continually being prioritized. So the international goals, such as the Sustainable Development Goals, included children under 5 as one of the priority groups. The national laws and programs, such as the Republic Act 11148 or the Kalusugan at Nutrisyon ng Magnanay Act, and the Philippine Plan of Action for 2017 to 2022 have been implemented in the country to address health and nutrition concerns of pregnant women and young children. So in response, the DOST-FNRI, as the lead research institution in food and nutrition, supports these goals by developing and promoting complementary foods for infants' continuous growth and development. So the general objective of the project is to develop the 2021 FNRI Minugate Calendar featuring recipes for complementary feeding of infants and young children 6 to 23 months old. Specifically, we aim to develop and test recipes for complementary feeding of infants and young children ages 6 to 8, 9 to 11, and 12 to 23 months because infants have different feeding milestones in these periods. We want to test the acceptability of the recipes in terms of quality, quantity, and sensory attributes based on the evaluation of mothers and caregivers. And lastly, we want to develop the 2021 FNRI Minugate Calendar and determine its attractiveness, comprehensibility, acceptability, and self-involvement among target users. So for the methodology, this is the process framework for the development of the 2021 FNRI Minugate Calendar. So this is composed of 2 phases, the recipe development phase and the calendar development. So the both processes involve inputs from the developer or the researcher and consumer or target users. Under the recipe development includes the conduct of review of related literature, brainstorming and key informant interviews to gather information on appropriate complementary feeding practices, diet guidelines, recommended recipes, and preferred calendar design and content. Under the recipe standardization includes the recipe testing and taste test activities among sensory panelists, calculation of energy and nutrient content and cost, photo documentation, and finalization of recipes. Under phase 2, which is the development of the calendar, includes the development of design and layout, considering the results of the brainstorming and KII, and pre-testing of the prototype calendar through focus group discussion and key informant interviews. Then lastly, the finalization of the calendar for mass printing. So for the review of related literatures, our project team reviewed the guiding principles for complementary feeding with the WHO, several publications on guidelines and good practices, and our national data on the infant and young child feeding practices. The brainstorming and key informant interviews were conducted via online video conference to limit the possible transmission of COVID-19 among the project implementers and informants. So 2 sessions of brainstorming were organized among mothers from rural and urban areas that were recruited on social media via DOST-FNRI Facebook page. We were able to gather rural representatives from Luzon, particularly in Laguna, Pampanga, Cavite, Rizal, and in Visayas. We have representatives from Bohol and Antique. We also have urban representatives from Zambales, NCR, Naga, and Camarines Sur. 6 key informant interviews were conducted among the infant and young child feeding experts, which consists of 2 pediatricians, 1 clinical dietitian, 1 researcher from FNRI, and 2 health workers from urban and rural area. For the recipe testing and taste test, using the 9-point hedonic rating scale, these were conducted among the FNRI sensory panelists who have experience in feeding and taking care of children 6 to 23 months. So the result of the evaluation of the panelists will serve as a proxy indicator on the acceptability of the recipes due to their experience in feeding an infant or young child. Photo documentation was conducted by the project team in the food laboratory of FNRI, and the estimation of the energy and nutrient content of the recipes and meals was performed using the Menu Eval Plus software of IFNRI. For the pre-testing of the calendar, this was conducted to assess the calendar's attractiveness, comprehensibility, acceptability, and self-involvement. So again, we utilized the online video conference as a platform for this activity. So 24 key informant interviews were conducted among the nutrition experts, medical doctors, barangay nutrition scholars, and barangay health workers. On the other hand, 4 focus group discussion were organized among mothers of 6 to 23 months old children, again with representatives from urban and rural settings. So for the results, so this is the mean hedonic rating according to overall liking of the featured recipes for 12 to 23 months old by month with the corresponding photo of the recipes. So these recipes can also be consumed by the other members of the family. The characteristics of the complementary foods for 12 to 23 months old can be taken from the family pot with some minor modifications in the preparation. So these are the recipes featured for the month of April to June, for the month of July to September, and for the month of October to December. So all recipes passed the taste test with mean overall liking of 7.3 to 8.5, which is equivalent to like moderately to like extremely. The unique feature of the developed recipes is that they were added with what we call the multi-nutrient growth mix powder. So MGM powder is a product developed by FNRI, which is composed of 6 micronutrients, namely calcium, iron, zinc, iodine, vitamin A, and folate. And this was developed to address the micronutrient deficiencies of infants and young children. So as a result, this table shows the percentage contribution of the recipes for 12 to 23 months old children. So the underlying values showed the minimum contribution, and the values that are in bold showed the maximum contribution. So a serving of the recipes contribute with a minimum of 25% of the requirement for energy, 38% of protein, and 53% of the iron requirement. So the recipes for 6 to 8 months old were developed. So these recipes have minimal number of ingredients and use simple cooking methods such as boiling and steaming. So the foods are soft, mashed, or minced, and well cooked to achieve a thick consistency. the recipes for 9 to 11 months old were also developed with additional food items as compared to the recipes for 6 to 8 months old. We employ additional cooking methods such as sauteing and pan frying to produce lumpy texture and other forms. So this is the cover of the menu guide calendar and a sample spreadsheet of the recipe and calendar page. So you can see in the photo, the list of ingredients and procedure on how to prepare the recipe, the estimated cost, serving size, and a featured nutrition trivia. So it also shows the nutrient information and the number of food groups present. So why? So this is because according to the World Health Organization, it is recommended that infants should consume foods from at least 4 different food groups out of these 7 food groups per day to encourage consumption of a variety of foods among young children. Sample and transition recipes were featured to highlight the changing needs of infants as they grow older. So these sample transition recipes include the recipes developed for 6 to 8 months, 9 to 11, and 12 to 23 months old that were featured in the monthly calendar. So for example, the recipe for 6 to 8 months old is the calabasa banana puree. At 9 to 11 month, it was modified into banana squash pancake. And for 12 to 23 months old, this is transformed into a veggie pancake and pan-fried chicken. So as you can see from simple recipe preparation, there is an increasing number of ingredients and a thicker consistency or form. You can equate that the thicker the consistency of the food, the more nutrient dense. The calendar also featured 4 recipes utilizing Big Mo, the rice mungo instant blend, which is developed also by FNRI, 4 weekly 7-day cycle menus for the family, and nutrition articles on eating variety of foods, importance of food safety, and guiding principles of complementary feeding by the World Health Organization. So for the result of pre-testing, the calendar was found to be comprehensible, attractive, acceptable, persuasive, and useful according to the mothers and nutrition and health professionals. And the calendar was rated from very good to excellent. So for the conclusion, the FNRI Minugate calendar was successfully developed featuring the recipes for complementary feeding. The calendar was found to be acceptable, comprehensive, and useful according to the result of the pre-testing activities. And overall, the calendar can serve as a guide among mothers, caregivers, program implementers in planning and preparing simple, nutritious, and affordable meals for infants and young children. So for the recommendation, we recommend the development of more complementary food recipes utilizing indigenous and locally available ingredients in the different regions of the country, and the amount, variety of ingredients, number of food groups, the serving size of the recipes in the calendar can be used as a guide in developing more recipes. So I hope the calendar can help and guide our users to practice timely introduction of complementary foods to achieve good nutrition of young children in the first 1,000 days of life. You can download a copy of the calendar in this link, or you may visit our website at fnri.dost.gov.ph and look for the menu guide calendars under the tools and standards category. So this is the end of my presentation, and thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Ms. Heronella. So the menu guide calendar will be a big help to our participants, who has infants or toddlers at home. I remember when my child started complementary feeding, I remember being very anxious about the food na kinakain niya because I don't know if the portion is enough or if the food is nutritionally adequate. So now parents and caregivers have something to refer to guide them in their journey, diba? So can we give Miss Heronella a virtual clap? Okay. To all our participants, please feel free to type in your questions and these will be answered during the open forum. Please don't forget to include your name and affiliation in your question. So if these are not answered during the open forum, we can address them offline. Okay? At this point, I would like to acknowledge our guests who have joined us via Zoom. Director Cesar Pedraza, Dr. Maria V. Capanzana, Dr. Shirley Guevara, Dean of UP Diliman College of Home Economics, Reverend Father Leonardo Dolientas, Dr. Maria Ceresa Talavera, Ms. Zenaida Velasco, and the President, Dr. Cecilia Acoin, PAN President, Ms. Maria Catherine Suba, Dr. Celeste Tanchoco, and Dr. Desiree Daniega. Hello po. Thank you for watching with us today. Okay, so now let us proceed with our second presenter to discuss the results of the study on production of fortified food products for women of reproductive age, pregnant and lactating women. Let us all welcome Ms. Aiza B. O'Malley.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Aiza Umali, and on behalf of our team, I will be presenting the results of our study entitled Technology Generation for the Production of the Fortified Food Products for Women of Reproductive Age, Pregnant and Lactating Women. We, the authors, declare no known competing financial interest or personal relationships that could have appeared to influence the work in this presentation. For the introduction, according to the 2018 DOST-FNRI National Nutrition Survey, 20.1% of pregnant women in the Philippines is nutritionally at risk. In addition to this, anemia is still considered a public health concern. The 2018 National Nutrition Survey results revealed 11.6% prevalence in the non-pregnant and non-lactating, 26.1% in pregnant women, and 14.4% in the lactating women. Moreover, micronutrient deficiencies were also noted. In terms of vitamin A deficiency, 2.1 to 4% prevalence were reported in 20 to 59 years adult, 9% in pregnant women, and 5% in lactating women. In terms of zinc deficiency, there was 22 to 28.4% prevalence in female adolescent, 13.7% in pregnant women, and 25.2% in lactating women. So based on these figures, we can say that malnutrition indeed exists in women. Quoting the Food and Agriculture Organization, more often than not, women is the face of malnutrition. This is due to several factors including biological factor, food insecurity, and the increased nutritional requirement during pregnancy and lactation. And among the different forms of malnutrition, micronutrient deficiency is the most common form among women. Addressing malnutrition in women is very important so that we can interfere in a cycle which we call as the intergenerational cycle of malnutrition. What is this intergenerational cycle of malnutrition? This is a path or a cycle of poor nutrition that extends on the next generation. So in this cycle, we have a malnourished mother or adult, and this malnourished mother or adult will most likely give birth to a malnourished or a low birth weight baby, and this baby will most probably grow to be a malnourished child, And this child will be a malnourished adolescent, and this adolescent will also grow to be a malnourished mother again or adult. And so this cycle just continues. So by looking at this cycle, we can really see the importance of improving the nutrition of our women. So when we replace the word malnourished with well-nourished, then this cycle will be totally different. So our study is in line with the Republic Act 11148 or the Kalusugan at Nutrisyon ng Magnanay Act. This is also in line with the Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition or PPAN 2017 to 2022. Both of these focus on the maternal, the infant, and the young children nutrition. In the PPAN 2017 to 2022, one of the nutrition-specific program is the supplementary feeding for our pregnant and lactating mothers. Thus, we found the need to develop nutritious food products that can be used in this program. For our study, we used the fortification technology. The food fortification involved the addition of fortificants or the vitamins and minerals in our food products. This is known to be a cost-effective strategy in addressing the micronutrient deficiency. And here in the Philippines, we have the Republic Act number 8976 or the Philippine Food Fortification Act of 2000. This law promotes the fortification of our foods to compensate for the insufficiency in the Filipino diet. This law has two fortification methods, or the voluntary fortification for all processed foods, and we also have the mandatory fortification for our staple foods, including rice, flour, sugar, and others. The general objective of our study was to develop fortified products for our women of reproductive age, the pregnant and lactating women. Specifically, this aimed to conduct fortification trials for the fortified products to optimize and standardize our product and our process, and to determine the physicochemical, nutrient content, and the sensory properties of our developed products. We have started our study by conducting brainstorming for the selection of our food products for R&D. Then, we conducted experimental, optimization, and standardization runs. The developed products were then subjected to physicochemical, sensory, and nutrient analysis. And in our product development, we have used locally available raw materials such as sweet potato, rice, wheat flour, coconut flour, fruits, malunggay, nuts, and seeds. And for the level of our nutrients, approximately 1/3 of the recommended micronutrient intakes for our target group were added to the developed product. So for the recommended micronutrient intake, this is based on the Philippine Dietary Reference Intake of the DOST-FNRI. We have developed 5 fortified products, including fortified cookie, fortified cracker, fortified food bar, and the fortified and the GN15 for our women of reproductive age. And we also have MNERC6 for our pregnant and lactating mothers. So in the next slides, I will be showing to you some of the major processes used in the production of these products. For the fortified cookie and cracker, these products were produced through the baking process. So our fortificants, or the sources of vitamins and minerals, were already incorporated in the doughs prior to the baking of these products. For our fortified food bar, the major process used includes extrusion process to produce our fortified crispies, which is one of the major ingredients of our food bar, and then all of the ingredients were mixed, stick together using honey, molded and cut into our desired shape. For the next product, the MNEC6 or the multi-nutrient extruded rice kernel with 6 micronutrients, this product is produced through the extrusion process. So we have here the flour and the fortificants, and these were fed into this extrusion machine to produce this rice kernel shaped product. The last product is the MGM15 or the multi-nutrient growth mix with 15 micronutrients. This product is also produced through the extrusion process. So initial process include the extrusion of our base materials, grinding them, and then mixing the rest of the fortificants to produce this MGM15. For our results, I will be starting with our fortified cookie. The fortified cookie is a baked snack food which is fortified with iron, zinc, vitamin A, B1, B2, B3, B6, and B9, and this product is designed for women of reproductive age. This product has a moisture content of 5.19% and a water activity of 0.496. Both of these parameters are within our standard of at most 7% for the moisture content and for the water activity of 0.8. This is light brown in color, and our panelists found this product to be acceptable. So for the appearance and the color, it is rated as light moderately. For aroma, texture, taste, and general acceptability, they were rated as light very much. The second product is our fortified cracker. So similar with the fortified cookie, this is also a baked snack food fortified with iron, zinc, vitamin A, B1, B2, B3, B6, and B9, and also designed for our women of reproductive age. This product has a moisture content of 3% and a water activity of 0.164. Again, both of these parameters are within our standard of at most 7% for the moisture and 0.5 for the water activity. This product is also light brown in color, and our panelists found this product to be acceptable in terms of appearance and color. So the rating is like very much. For aroma, texture, taste, and general acceptability, the rating is like moderately. The third product is our fortified food bar. So this is a snack food fortified with iron, zinc, vitamin B1, B2, B3, B6, and B9, and also designed for our women of reproductive age. This has a moisture content of 4.32% and a water activity of 0.359. Both of these parameters are within our standards of at most 12% for the moisture and 0.8 for the water activity. The product is liked very much by our sensory panelists in terms of appearance, color, aroma, texture, taste, and the general acceptability. The fourth product is the MGM15 or the multi-nutrient growth mix with 15 nutrients. This product contains iron, zinc, vitamin A, B vitamins, C, D, E, selenium, copper, and iodine. This product is also designed for our women of reproductive age, and this can be sprinkled or added to our common recipes at 2 grams per serving. MGM15 has a moisture content of 9.47%. This is also within our standard of at most 15% for moisture. This is slightly yellow to white in color, and we have added this product to porridge and to macaroni soup, and our panelists rated the product as like moderately to like very much. So for the appearance and color of porridge with MGM15, this like very much, aroma and texture, like moderately, and for taste and general acceptability, this also like very much. For the macaroni soup, all of the attributes were rated as like very much. For our last product, we have the MNERC6, or the multi-nutrient extruded rice kernel with 6 micronutrients. This is a rice kernel with iron, zinc, vitamin A, B1, B2, and B6, and this is now designed for the pregnant and the lactating mothers. This product has a moisture content of 9.47 and a bulk density of 0.81. Both of these parameters are within our set standard of at most 12% for the moisture and 0.7 to 1 gram per ml for our bulk density. This product is yellowish in color, and our panelists also found the cooked fortified rice to be acceptable in terms of appearance, color, aroma, texture, taste, and the general acceptability. So the rating for these attributes is like moderately. Let us now proceed to the result of the micronutrient analysis of the developed products. So for the result, it is expressed in % recommended nutrient intake per day. So to clarify the content of this table, one serving of our fortified food bar, when consumed by the women of reproductive age, provides 42.43% of the recommended iron intake per day, 50.54% for the recommended zinc intake, 47.73% for vitamin B1, 63.36% for B2, 8.31% for B3, 26.77% for B6, and 42.22% for the recommended B9 intake. So this is also similar for our MGM15. Consumption of one serving of food with MGM15 provides 32.34% of the recommended iron intake for WRA, 44.13% for zinc intake, 21.03% for B1 intake, 15.99% for B2 intake, and 33.08% for B3 intake. And we also have 15.63% for the recommended B6 intake. For MNERC6, we have two target groups. We have the pregnant women and the lactating women. The consumption of 3 servings, so the assumption here is the cooked rice is consumed for breakfast, lunch, and for dinner. Consumption of 3 servings of rice with MNERC6 provides 39.69% of the recommended iron intake for our pregnant women, 30.56% for the zinc intake, 88.11% for vitamin A, 28.43% for B1 intake, 44.41% for B2, and 26.64% for the recommended B9 intake. When this product is consumed by lactating women, the 3 servings of the cooked rice provides 50.27% of the recommended iron intake, 25.56% of the zinc intake, 79.30% for the vitamin A intake, 26.54% for B1, 47.03% for B2, and 28.62% for the recommended vitamin B9 intake. So for this table, this just shows that the added vitamins and minerals were retained during the processing of the food products. To conclude, the development of the fortified food products for women of reproductive age, the pregnant and lactating women, is technically feasible. The developed food products were fortified food bar, fortified cracker, fortified cookie, multi-nutrient growth mix, and the multi-nutrient extruded rice kernel. The results of our physicochemical analysis revealed that the products are within the acceptable standards set by DOST-FNRI. The sensory acceptability of the fortified products were rated as 7 or like moderately to 8 or like very much by our in-house panelists. And the results of the nutrient analysis have shown that the added vitamins and minerals were retained during processing. For the recommendation, there is a need to conduct pilot scale study to determine the shelf life and the financial viability of our fortified food products. It is also recommended that we conduct efficacy study to determine the contribution of the developed products in the improvement of maternal health and nutrition. According to the World Health Organization, good maternal nutrition is the best start in life. We hope that once these products are commercialized, this can also be part of this best start in life, which is the good and the improved maternal nutrition. Thank you very much and have a good day, everyone.
Thank you for sharing the results of your study, Ms. Isa. Can we give a virtual clap to Ms. Isa for her wonderful presentation? Okay. I'm sure a lot of our women participants, mamas, and soon-to-be mamas appreciate the topic. From the statistics, we know that 25% of pregnant women are nutritionally at risk. And personally, I believe that being a mom is the best reason you'll ever have to take care of you. Not only is the DOST-FNRI able to develop food products that are able to provide at least 1/3 of the recommended micronutrient requirement for women of reproductive age, these products also taste good. So I'm sure from the results of the sensory evaluation, you will enjoy these products also. Again, to our participants, please don't forget to include your name and affiliation in your question, okay? All right. Let us now proceed to the last topic for this technical session. So to share his study on the development of enteral food formula, let us all welcome our third presenter, Mr. Alex M. Palomo.
A pleasant afternoon to everyone. Thank you for staying with us. And as the last presenter for this afternoon, please allow me to share with you the results of our study, Technology Innovation in the Production of Enteral Formula. Before I start, I just want to state that we have no competing financial interests or personal relationship that could influence the work in this presentation. Enteral nutrition refers to the delivery of special liquid food mixture directly to the stomach, duodenum, or jejunum via tube, catheter, or stoma. It serves as the major source of nutrition for hospitalized patients whose gastrointestinal tracts are functional but cannot take food orally or have a poor appetite. In the Philippines, enteral formulas are available commercially, but are mostly imported and are very expensive. And as a cheaper alternative, blenderized formulas can also be used. Blenderized formulas are made from different whole foods and are prepared in hospitals or at homes. However, these are cumbersome to prepare and is prone to microbial contamination. That's why in year 2000, DOST-FNRI headed by Dr. Celeste Tanchoco developed a low-cost, nutritionally adequate enteral formula from indigenous food sources, such as the rice and mung bean, and it's called GRM+. It is shelf-stable for up to 6 months and contains a nutrient density of 1 kilocalories per ml. It can also prevent significant nutritional deterioration among the enterally fed patients who joined or who participated during the clinical study. However, further improvement is still needed to reduce the viscosity of the enteral food formula to prevent the blockage in the nastrogastric tube during tube feeding. And one of the possible solutions is the use of enzymes. Enzymes are biological catalysts that brings about a special biological reaction. For example, we have the alpha amylase, which is responsible for the hydrolysis of the alpha-1,4 glucosidic bonds in amylose and amylopectin. This reaction will result in the breakdown of starch into soluble dextrin, oligosaccharides, and glucose molecules. And this will also result in the reduction of viscosity of the starch solution. Since GRM plus contains significant amount of starch, the use of enzyme in reducing the viscosity of the formula is worth investigating. That's why in year 2019, our team conducted an exploratory study, and the result shows that the use of enzymes can significantly reduce the viscosity of the enteral formula. The caloric content of the enzyme-treated formula was also found to be comparable with the commercially available ones. However, during the study, phase separation of the reconstituted enzyme-treated formula was observed after several minutes of resting time. That's why on this study, our primary aim is to optimize and standardize the enzyme-mediated process of producing instant enteral food formula, as well to determine the physicochemical properties of the formula, and lastly is to determine the nutritional content and the nutritional adequacy of the enzyme-treated enteral food formula. For the methodology, this slide shows the process on how do we go about on the production of the enteral food formula. So from brown rice and mung bean, which after cleaning, it will undergo milling using a pulverizer. Afterwards, the addition of water to adjust the moisture content of the of the brown rice mung bean flour, as well as the addition of enzyme into the flour mixture. This flour mixture will then be allowed to incubate for different incubation time at a specific temperature, and will be followed by extrusion process using twin screw extruder. The extrudate or the product after the extrusion will be further dried and milled to come up with an enzyme-treated mung bean flour, which will then be mixed with the other ingredients to produce the enteral food formula. This will then be packed and stored until further analysis. The optimization experiment was conducted on the process of the addition of water and enzyme, and as well in the incubation step, wherein we use central composite design to determine the optimum or the best amount of added water, the best amount of enzyme percentage to be added, and as well as how long will the incubation takes place, or how long will the incubation will take. Another optimization experiment was conducted during the mixing of the enzyme-treated brown rice mung bean flour with the other ingredients. And on this optimization experiment, we use the mixture design to determine the best proportion among these three major ingredients, among the major ingredients. So on this slide shows the experimental plan for the central composite design, and as well as the experimental plan for the mixture design. For the response variables studied for the experiments, so we determine the effect of our processes on the viscosity of the enteral food formula, the estimated production cost of the formula, the water solubility index, caloric content, as well as the degree of separation of the reconstituted enteral food formula. Other analysis that we have conducted for the chemical analysis are carbohydrates content, protein, fat, dietary fiber, as well as micronutrients such as iron and zinc content of the enteral food formula. For the physicochemical analysis, we also analyze the water activity, pH, as well as the color of the enteral food formula. For the results, this slide shows the response surface plot of the viscosity, where the x-axis shows the moisture content of the brown rice mung bean flour, and on the y-axis is the amount of enzyme added on the brown rice mung bean flour. And the plot shows that as we increase the moisture content or the moisture content of the brown rice mung bean flour, we observe, or we're going to have a decrease in the viscosity of the enteral food formula. So that is from around 60 centipoise, increasing the moisture content, we're going to have an around 30 centipoise or millipascal per second na viscosity of the enteral food formula. Similarly, an observation was also noted wherein an increase in the amount of enzyme added in the mixture will also result in the decrease in the viscosity of the enteral food formula. Although the effect of the moisture content is much profound compared with the effect of the amount of enzyme added. Next is the surface plot of the estimated cost of the enteral food formula. And as expected, the longer the incubation time and the higher amount of enzyme added to the process will result to a higher estimated production cost. And the amount of added, since we didn't actually consider the cost of the, since it's minimal, the cost of water, the amount of added water have no significant effect on the production cost of the enteral food formula. Next is the water solubility index. WSI is the indication of solubility of biomolecules on the addition of excess water. And this response surface plot shows that as the moisture content of the brown rice mung bean flour increases, as well as the amount of enzyme added increases, an increase in the WSI or water solubility index was observed. And a high water solubility index may suggest an easier digestibility of the enteral food formula. In obtaining the optimum processing parameters for the addition of water, addition of enzyme, and the incubation time, the different response plot for the viscosity, cost, and water solubility index were superimposed, or pinagpatong-patong siya using a software to have an overlay plot where predetermined criteria was set. And this criteria should be are the following actually. The viscosity must be as low as possible, the cost must be as low as possible, and the water solubility index must be as high as possible. So after obtaining the overlay plot, the gray area shown on this plot shows the optimum region from the experiment that can meet the set criteria, meaning that if we repeat an experiment from this region, we're going to obtain the desired criteria, like as mentioned, the low viscosity, low cost, and as well as the high water solubility index. And the next slide shows actually the response surface plot of the viscosity and as a function of three ingredients used in the formulation using the mixture design. Namely, we have the enzyme-treated mung bean flour, the amount of fat powder on the mixture, and as well as the amount of dextrose monohydrate on the mixture. And this graph shows that the level of brown rice mung bean flour from the apex of the triangle down to the base of the triangle, meaning we are increasing the amount of the brown rice mung bean flour. This slide shows that as we increase the amount of brown rice, enzyme-treated brown rice mung bean flour in the mix, in the formulation, what we are going to have, or what we're going to observe, is an increase in the viscosity of the enteral food formula. On the other hand, the increase in the amount of fat powder will result in the lowering of viscosity of the enteral food formula. Similar observation were found on the amount of dextrose monohydrate added in the mixture, that as we increase from 10% to 25% level of dextrose monohydrate in the mixture, we're going to observe a decrease actually on the viscosity of the enteral food formula. The next slide shows the response plot for the estimated computed energy of the different formulation and expected amount of the amount of fat powder have a larger effect on the estimated energy of the enteral food formula. This is primarily because of the higher energy content per gram of the fat powder compared with the brown rice mung bean flour and dextrose monohydrate. So as shown, as we increase the amount of fat powder from 10% to 25%, the estimated energy of the enteral food formula will increase. And for in the phase separation observed after the reconstitution of the enteral food formula, increasing the amount of enzyme-treated brown rice mung bean flour. So from here papunta dito, it will result to a decrease in the phase separation observed after reconstitution. On the other hand, increasing the amount of the dextrose monohydrate from 10% to 25% will result to an increased degree of phase separation observed in the reconstituted formula. So similarly, on what we did in the response plot from the central composite design, an overlay plot was constructed using the software, following also again a predetermined criteria, like that the viscosity as well must be as low as possible, the energy must be as high as possible, and the degree of separation must be as low as possible. And as mentioned before, the gray area shows the optimum region from the experiment that can meet or that can produce a low viscosity, high energy, and low phase separation enteral food formula. So after determining the optimum amount of water to be added, amount of enzyme to be added, and the time of incubation needed, as well as the optimum proportion from the major ingredients to produce the enteral food formula, this process and formulation was standardized by repeating the process 3 times and determining if there will be some variation in the identified response from our analysis, such as the moisture content of the finished enteral food formula, the water activity, pH, color, which is the LAB coordinate, as well as which is the primary response variables from this study, which is the viscosity. And results from this analysis suggest that the optimum processing parameters and formulation was repeatable. And this next table shows that the difference between the control and the treated enteral food formula. And the result showed that the optimum process and optimum standardized formulation significantly reduce the viscosity of the enteral food formula without having any negative effect on the other properties of the formula. So from around 200 centipoise of viscosity for the control down to 33 centipoise of viscosity. And to show you some visual illustration of the difference of this level, the left side shows the not enzyme treatment, and on the right side is the enteral food formula that undergo optimized and standardized enzyme treatment process. Another test was conducted to determine the administration time by gravity of a 300 ml enteral formula after passing through a fully opened nasogastric tube with a measurement of 16 French and 10 French. So we analyzed the control as well as the treated enteral food formula. And the result shows that the control enteral food formula cannot pass through either that cannot pass through the 16 French as well as the 10 French nasogastric tube size. So we observe a blockage during the testing of the control enteral food formula. On the other hand, when we test the time needed for the enzyme-treated enteral formula to pass through the tube, it takes around more than 11 minutes for it to completely pass through a 16 French tube, and around almost 40 minutes if you are going to use 10 French nasogastric tube. The common size being used in the hospital is actually the 16 French nasogastric tube. And we didn't observe any blockage on the nasogastric tube during the testing. And just to show you the flow of the enzyme-treated enteral food formula in the nasogastric tube, the video on the right side shows how it flows on the tube. So next is the results of the proximate analysis of the enzyme-treated enteral food formula. And the result shows that the proximate composition or the nutritional information of the enzyme-treated enteral food formula is comparable with the GRM plus and other commercial enteral food formula. Enzyme-treated enteral food formula can provide 1 kilocalories per ml. However, lower protein content was observed, or the enzyme-treated enteral food formula contains a lower amount of protein compared with the other, compared with the GRM plus and the other commercially available one. However, this amount can still provide around 75% of the recommended daily allowance for protein of a reference meal 19 years old and above. It also contains significant amount of dietary fiber and can provide more than 95% of the RDA for iron and zinc, even though the amount shown on the table is still lower compared with the other. But this amount can already provide around more than 95% of the RDA for iron and zinc. For the conclusion from this study, enzyme-mediated process for the production of instant enteral food formula was optimized and standardized. Optimized and standardized enzyme treatment have no significant effect on the physicochemical properties of enteral formula, but with improved viscosity. The caloric content of the enzyme-treated enteral food formula was adequate. And we would like to recommend the conduct of pilot scale production of the enteral food formula We also would like to recommend to increase the amount of protein by a simple reformulation, and as well as the fortification with other micronutrients. And lastly is the conduct of a clinical study on the use of the enzyme-treated enteral food formula in hospital setting. With that is the end of my presentation, and thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Palomo. So in the study presented by Mr. Palomo, process parameters were optimized such that the identified problems with the previous formula was addressed. So nakakatuwa na we have something locally developed that are comparable with commercial products in terms of nutrient density, but are less expensive, di ba? Can we give a virtual clap to Mr. Palomo? Okay. So to summarize, the session this afternoon highlighted the continuing tradition of developing a menu guide calendar, this time for infants and young children, the development of fortified foods directed towards women of reproductive age, and the process of developing enteral food formula. Okay, so at this point, I would like to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Milagros B. Rabe, Dean of the Graduate School UERMMC, and Ms. Joy Ramos Buenviaje of the Board of Nutrition and Dietetics PRC. Also, right now, around 1,200 plus participants are watching us live via Zoom and our YouTube channel. So thank you so much po for staying with us. All right, so to our participants, please key in your questions by clicking the Q&A button on your screen, or if you are watching via our YouTube channel, please type in your question in the chat box. Again, please don't forget to include your name and affiliation in your question so we can address them properly. Right now, we are going to proceed with the open forum. May I request our panelists to turn on their cameras so our participants can appreciate you better? Okay, let's wait for our panelists to open their cameras. All right, they're here. Okay, so allow me to read questions from our participants. Let's start with Miss May Ann. Okay. From Dr. Cecilia Akuin, were the recipes test tasted with the intended age group children? How was this done and what was the result?
So good afternoon, everyone. So just to share with you, the recipes were evaluated by the mothers and caregivers that are part of the sensory panelists of the FNRI. So the recipes were not really tested. So the serving sizes were not checked if it can be eaten on one serving. So for this purpose, we would like to highlight the principle of responsive feeding to look for signs of hunger and satiety among our children. And we do not recommend, although in the calendar we do have recommended serving sizes, but we do not recommend force feeding your infant. So let us observe the cues of feeling of fullness of our infants. So thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Mayan. A question for Miss Aiza. Where can we procure the presented products for WRA, pregnant women and lactating women?
Good afternoon, everyone. So for our products, they are still not yet available po in the market. So for this study, we have just finished the lab scale production of this product. So as mentioned a while ago, these products still need to undergo pilot scale study and also efficacy study So in the pilot scale study, we determine financial viability of the product, also the shelf life of our product. And for the efficacy study, we determine the contribution of our developed product in the nutrition of our women. So for now po, hindi pa sila available in the market. So for now, you can check our other available products po. You may visit our website to see the list of other FNRI developed products. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Aiza. Now we have a question for Mr. Palomo. Have we also, from Dr. Acoin, have we also developed a local RUTF for SAM?
Good afternoon po, Doc. Currently, we do not have yet ready-to-use therapeutic food for severe acute malnutrition. The enteral formula is intended for the general population requiring enteral feed.
Okay. All right. We have here another question for Miss May Ann. Is the menu guide calendar allowed for distribution po? From Miss Cheryl Custodio.
Thank you po. No? The menu grade calendar is allowed for distribution. You will just write a request letter to our director, Dr. Agdeva, and indicating your intent to a request, and also if you do have intention to reproduce the menu grade calendars. So as per the feedback of Ms. Glorioso, you can request. We still do have hard copies of the MGC. However, the courier or the delivery fee will be shouldered by the requesting party.
Okay. Thank you so much for that, Miss May Ann. Another question for Miss Aiza. Is the MNERC intended as a fortified premix to be mixed with regular rice? How does its organoleptic properties compare with regular rice? From Dr. Akuin.
So for our MNERC product, yes, ma'am, this is intended to be mixed with regular rice with a ratio of 1 part of our MNERC, which is added to 200 parts of the regular rice. During the sensory evaluation of the products, so the only visible difference is the yellowish color of some of the rice kernels. But our panelists still considered this color of our product to be acceptable po. So this is also comparable to the regular rice. Thank you po.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Aiza. For Mr. Palomo from Dr. Kim, this study is applicable only to adults since French 16 NGT is used. How do you think you can modify this study in order to cater to pediatric population, especially those on post-surgical care and gastro patients on nutritional buildup, especially those with severe acute malnutrition? From Dr. Kim Tsai, General Pediatrician from Philippine Pediatric Society.
Sorry. Thank you, Sir Kim, for that question. That is actually the study. The first goal of the study is really to reduce the viscosity of the previously developed enteral formula by FNRI. So our objective really is to reduce the viscosity so that it won't experience blockage on the nasogastric tube. And indeed, the formula is intended for general population adult, and we have not done or conducted any tests for this formula to be somehow to test that it can be used for children po. So yours actually we can consider it a suggestion, and we will consider it po for the future studies regarding enteral formula.
Okay. So I hope that answers the question. Now we'll go to another question for Miss May Ann. How about from Mr. Edelberto Garcia? How about the Menu Eval software? Is this available for public use?
Yes, sir. The Renewable Plus software is accessible to the public. You can access the Renewable Plus software. It is included in the IFNRI program. So just type in i.fnri.dost.gov.ph under ISS. So you can perform a menu evaluation there by encoding the needed ingredients and edible portion weights of the recipes. And for the ways or the methods on how to use the software, a training on the IFNRI webinar, particularly in the Menuable Plus software, is uploaded in the DOST-FNRI Facebook page. So you can look, you can browse our Facebook page, and you can see for there the training that were conducted last March. Thank you po.
Okay. A question for Ms. Omali. Do you have data on the shelf life of the fortified food products?
For the developed products in this study, we still have no data po for all of the products. So for the shelf life, this will be determined during the pilot scale study. So this year and probably on the next years, the pilot scale studies for these products will be made. So by then, we will be able to determine the shelf life of our products. Thank you po.
Ayun. Okay. Thank you, Aiza. Question for Mr. Palomo. Comparing the cost of the enteral formula created by DOST-FNRI with that of commercially available enteral formula, which one is cheaper and more suitable for the general patients? From Mr. Reagan Sangalang of Batangas State University.
Currently, we do not have yet the estimated cost of our enteral food formula. We are currently conducting the study for the pilot scale production for us to be able to compute for the price of the enteral formula. However, the 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 commercial formulas available in the market right now is around 2 pesos per gram. If and based on our initial computation, the cost of the enteral food formula on by DOST-FNRIs will be lower or cheaper compared with the commercial one.
Okay. Okay. Another question here from Ma'am Gina Pedro. For Miss Mayan, for the recipes for complementary feeding in general, what is the percent energy from fat? I asked this question because intake of fat, which is important for vitamin A absorption, has been reported to be lower than the general guidance among young children.
Yes po. As of now, the percentage of energy from fat varies. But if you will look into our the calendar, we included the cooking oil or the vegetable oil as one of our ingredients. So, for example, for the recipes for 6 to 8 months old, aside from steaming the vegetables, we also employ adding oil, or you just drizzle into the recipe for added sources of energy. Thank you po.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Miss Mayan. For another question for Miss Aiza, do you have data on the shelf life of the fortified? Oh, did I ask this already? Do you have data on the shelf life of the fortified food products? I did. Okay. Another question here from Ma'am Gina Pedro. For acceptability test for products developed, do you attempt to compare with commonly eaten or chosen products of the same format to predict competitiveness?
Uh, f- uh, for the question, ma'am, for our study, our objective for now is just to develop the products for our women of reproductive age, pregnant and lactating women. So, your question po, this is still not included in our study, but maybe in the succeeding studies or in the future studies, we can also consider doing this po. Thank you.
Okay, so please watch out for our future studies on fortified food products. Okay, a question for Mr. Palomo. How can hospitals avail the Enteral formulas?
Thank you. Thank you for the interest to use the enteral formula. Currently po, the DOST-FNRI developed enteral formula is not yet available, but that is our end goal, that this technology be commercially available for use po ng ating mga kababayan. So currently, we are doing the pilot skill study to prepare for the different information that will be needed for the technology transfer of this technology. And I would like to take this opportunity for those adapters or stakeholders na ma-invite if you are interested to avail this technology. After the pilot scale study, we're going to promote and yeah, we're going to promote this technology for commercial production.
Okay. So another question for Mr. Palomo. Is the loss from Mr. Arrogante of MMSU, is the loss of nutrients due to enzyme treatment can be compensated by fortification or other treatments sufficient to become comparable with commercial ones? Is the additional cost also significant compared to other enteral products? Thank you and more power to your team.
On the effect on the cost, we do not have yet the information to say that it will entail cost. But definitely, if we're going to do fortification or the addition of fortificants to the enteral formula, this definitely will entail cost. But on the question of if we can improve or increase the nutrients of the enteral formula by fortification, definitely we can.
Okay. So I think that is the only time we have for the Q&A. Again, for those questions we were not able to accommodate, you may approach our panelists offline, or since you have provided your name and affiliation, our panelist will be the one who will approach you offline to answer your questions. Again, thank you very much for sending in your questions. So we had a very interesting discussion this afternoon. I think you'll agree with me that our panelists deserve some recognition, right? So with that, let us proceed to the awarding of certificates to our panelists. First, let me read the citation. So, Republic of the Philippines, Department of Science and Technology, Food and Nutrition Research Institute, in cooperation with the Food and Nutrition Research Institute Employees Association Incorporated, present this certificate of appreciation to Ms. May Ann B. Heronella for sharing her invaluable time and knowledge as presenter of the paper titled Development of 2021 Menu Guide Calendar, Recipes for Complementary Feeding of Infants and Young Children 6 to 23 months old during the 47th FNRI Seminar Series Virtual Edition, with the theme, Good Nutrition in the First 1,000 Days, Starting Right is the Right Start. Given this 6th day of July 2021 at the Department of Science and Technology, Food and Nutrition Research Institute. Signed, Ms. Charmaine A. Duante, overall chair of the 47th FNRI Seminar Series, Leah C. Dahay, President, FNRI Employees Association Incorporated, and Dr. Imelda Angeles Agdepa, Director 4 and Scientist 2. Okay. Another certificate of appreciation, or the same certificate of appreciation, is also given to Ms. Aiza B. O'Malley as presenter of the paper titled Technology Generation for the Production of Fortified Food Products for Women of Reproductive Age, Pregnant and Lactating Women, or GINA. Same certificate of appreciation is given to Mr. Alex M. Palomo for the paper titled Technology Innovation in the Production of Enteral Food Formula. Okay, so congratulations and a job well done to our panelists. May we request our director, Dr. Agdepa, our deputy director, Dr. Anthony Calibo, or any MANCOM member who is virtually present for a quick virtual photo opportunity with our panelists. Okay, so that ends the technical session 2 on nutrition tools and product innovation. We would like to thank everyone for your participation, and we hope that you learned a lot from today's session. Again, a few reminders. Please answer the post test at the FSS website. The post test link will serve as your logout for this technical session. Failure to answer post test will mean that you did not log out for this technical session. For the post test, you will be asked to input an FSS technical session code. The FSS technical session code for this session is RER937. That's capital R, capital E, capital R, 937. Failure to provide the correct FSS technical session code will mean that you did not answer the post test. Hence, you will not receive certificate for the session. Only registered participants will be given certificates for the 47th DOST-FNRI Seminar Series. Certificates will be available once you answer the post test and evaluation link. Also, in accomplishing the evaluation form, be reminded to complete the data on profession, PRC number, and expiry date as a requirement for granting of CPD units. Certificates of attendance will be available once you answer the evaluation link. You will not be awarded with CPD units on this. Certificate of participation, on the other hand, will be available once you answer the post-test and evaluation link of all technical sessions. So only those with certificates of participation will be awarded CPD units. Again, that's certificates of participation. Okay, so we look forward that you will stay with us until the 9th of July as we continue the 47th FNRI Seminar Series Virtual Edition. For tomorrow's session, our panelists will tackle the status of select micronutrient deficiencies among the country's younger population. So please do look out for that. Okay, so before we end this session, the 47th DOST-FNRI Seminar Series would like to acknowledge our sponsors. Our gold sponsors, Nutrition's Food Manufacturing Corporation, a leading food manufacturer of healthy, nutritious, and research-based food products distributed nationwide. Swiss Pharma Research Laboratories Incorporated, a leading manufacturer of pharmaceutical products in the Philippines and a technology adopter of the enhanced Nutribon. Our silver sponsor, Maan's Bake Shop from Davao City, one of the newest licensees of the DOST-FNRI, developed enhanced Nutribon technology. And our bronze sponsors, the Department of Science and Technology, National Capital Region, or DOST-NCR Regional Office, Mary Loy's Food Products and Merchandising from Tumawini, Isabela, Waffle Time and Great Foods Concepts Incorporated in Iloilo City, and RCJ Trading and General Merchandise. For our other major sponsors. We are grateful for our partners, the Philippine Association of Nutrition Incorporated, the First Analytical Services and Technical Cooperative, or FAST Laboratories, our Teche Bread House from Eastern Samar, Ruben's Bake Shop from Katbalogan, Samar, GA Fruits and Vegetable Processing from San Mateo, Isabela, Wellness Pro, Science Savings and Loan Association Incorporated, or SLI, Hans Cake and Pastries, and the Hermanas Pizza from Tangob City, Misamis Occidental. Thank you very much to our sponsors for your continued support. So we have an announcement here before we end. The Philippine Association of Nutrition Incorporated cordially invites you to PAN 2021 Annual Convention virtual platform with the theme Malnutrition, Tulong-Tulong Nating Labanan, First 1,000 Days, Sama-Sama Nating Tutukan, this coming July 22 to 23, 2021. PAN Convention is an annual event hosted by PAN Incorporated to unite its members, student and provincial chapters, professional individuals, and multi-sectoral planners and implementers of the First 1,000 Days program and projects at the local and national levels. PAN has also invited renowned individuals in the field of health and nutrition to discuss on topics regarding the nutrition problems our country encounters today. So register now with the link on your screen. Registration fee is at 200 pesos only. For questions or concerns, please feel free to message us on our page or via email at panconvention2021@gmail.com. So we hope to see you there. Hashtag panconvention2021. Again, thank you all for joining us this afternoon. This has been your moderator, Vanessa Ramas. It has been a pleasure having you join us today. Have a nice day and stay safe.
while the parents are working, while the stress is tough. Just remember the following. Go for a daily dose of nutrition. Go for a balanced meal with variation. Go for a run or two of exercise. Aim for healthy lifestyles. Inspire others to do the same. Story of life is no game. Life doesn't need to end that fast. If you choose health, the longer you last. Go for a daily dose of nutrition. A balanced meal with variation. A run or two of exercise. Aim for healthy lifestyles. Go for a daily dose of nutrition. A balanced meal with variation. A run or two of exercise. Aim for healthy lifestyle. Live longer, happier, better with FNRI.
4 years and counting. With over 2.8 million website users, IFNRI is a trusted source of food, nutrition, health in the Philippines. Home to 6 components: ISS, iServe, iLearn, iBusiness, iPromote, and iAdmin. The harmonized information and communication technology hub of the Department of Science and Technology, Food and Nutrition Research Institute is now expanding to serve you better. IFNRI Reimagined. iTrain is a new addition to the group. Users can now enroll in face-to-face online or offline trainings and watch, learn, and enjoy nutrition videos anytime, anywhere, while earning continuing professional development credits with iTrain. We also upgraded the original components. Nutrition counseling is now online. We also have new nutrition tools to aid users count their calorie intake with the Healthy Eating and Lifestyle program online. Prepare and serve healthy meals by calculating energy and nutrient content, quantified recipe and food costs of your recipe or menu using the Menu Eval Plus. Download the latest National Nutrition Survey data using public files for free. Know if your area is on track of meeting their nutrition targets with eNutrition. Rate the food's characteristics using science-based assessment that is convenient, efficient, time-saving, and many more with enhanced sensory evaluation laboratory. Access 1,500 food items with photos and many more nutrition data using the Philippine food composition tables. Do you want to know how much Filipinos eat? Perform basic to complicated statistical analysis using the food consumption data of the National Nutrition Survey with the Food Consumption Data Dietary Exposure Assessment. Thinking of starting a business? Learn more about DOST-FNRI's products and technologies and become one of our adapters using the Electronic Technology Transfer Monitoring Map. Undernutrition is a persistent problem in the Philippines. Be part of the solution. Be part of the DOST package advocacy for the improvement of nutrition of young children. Need nutrient, biochemical, and microbiological analysis results? Avail our services and track your status using FNRI Service Laboratory Integrated Online System. IFNRI is also home to the first accredited Philippine food proficiency testing provider in the country. Learn more about this new service. Check out the FNRI Proficiency Testing Laboratory website. Locally available but internationally comparable reference materials. The improved FNRI reference material portal allows direct access on clients' purchase, from tracking their reference materials from designated courier to extending feedback to FNRI. Learn more about nutrition while having fun. Access the different modules of nutritionschool.ph. Play nutrition games with iLearn. New data, more features, available 24/7. Start exploring the new website. Visit i.fnri.dost.gov.ph.
In 2010, DOST-FNRI revolutionized its take on nutrition by incorporating genomics in its researches. Investigating the relationship of anthropometric, biochemical, clinical, dietary, and health components to the genetic makeup of Filipinos, DOST-FNRI is looking into providing a more personalized approach of achieving optimum nutrition to every Filipino. Through nutritional genomics, we attempt to better understand how a single nucleotide, a single letter, can make a big difference in our way of living. And so, to support this endeavor, DOST-FNRI capitalized on establishing its molecular laboratory known as the Nutritional Genomics, or the New Gen Lab. With its thrust of bringing science for the people, the New Gen Lab provides assessment of genes and genetic variants associated with micronutrient deficiencies and diet-related non-communicable diseases. The new Gen Lab is equipped with some of the state-of-the-art equipment in molecular biology, such as the automated nucleic acid extraction machine, bioinformatics, real-time and digital PCR systems, automated liquid handling system, micro-volume spectrophotometer system, and gel documentation system. With a complete workflow adhering to the highest standard of competency in laboratory testing, NewGen Lab is setting the mark in providing mold biotechniques with transparency, validity, and reliability. Whether you are an individual or a group of enthusiasts seeking answers in nutritional genomics, the NewGen Lab awaits you. Our proficient personnel works in close contact with our customers through customized analysis, provision of technical consultancy in nutritional genomics, and standardization or laboratory competency. To even serve you better, we are partnering with a leader in genomic testing for a higher throughput and faster turnaround time. Welcome to the new generation of nutrition. Welcome to the new Gen Lab.
Halina kayo, kain na tayo ng brown rice. Masarap na mas masustansya pa kesa white rice. Bitamina, mineral, siksik pa rin, pampalusog ng katawan ng bata't matanda. Para sa ating lahat, ang brown rice. Calcium,
Papatibay ng buto
thiamine,
para sa healthiness.
niacin sa panunaw na maayos, magnesium, taga-ayos ng katawan mo. Halina kayo, kain na tayo ng brown rice. Masarap na mas masustansya pa kesa white rice. Bitamina, mineral, siksik pa rin, pampalusog ng katawan ng bata't matanda. Para sa ating lahat, ang brown rice. Sagot sa malnutrition, iwas cancer, diabetes at sakit sa puso. Konting kain lang, mabubusog ka na. Halina, tulungan ang bayan. Halina, mag-brown rice na. Mag-brown rice na.
Everything today is faster. Everything today is easier. With technology getting better, it doesn't mean we're getting healthier. While the kids are young, while the parents are working, while the stress is tough, just remember the following. Go for a daily dose of nutrition. Go for a balanced meal with variation. Go for a round or two of exercise. Aim for healthy lifestyles. Inspire others to do the same. The story of life is no game. Life doesn't need to end that fast. If you choose health, the longer you last. Go for a daily dose of nutrition. Go for a balanced meal with variation. Go for a round or two of exercise. Aim for healthy lifestyles. Go for a daily dose of nutrition. Go for a balanced meal with variation. Go for a round or two of exercise. Aim for healthy lifestyle. Live longer, happier, better with FNRI.
Tinggang Pinoy. Tinggang Pinoy.
Alam mo na ba na may bagong gabay para sa lakas at kalusugan mo? Simple lang at madaling tanda. Ang tawag dito'y pinggang Pinoy. Gulay at prutas, 1/2 ng plato. Kanin o tinapay, 1/3 ng plato mo. Isda o karne, 1/6 ng plato mo. Ito na ang pinggang Pinoy. Sa punderong pinggan, sukat na sukat bawat pangkat ng pagkain. Pagkaing balanse sa nakatatanda, mainam din sa bata.
Pinggang Pinoy,
Gulay at prutas manhak ng plato.
Pinggang Pinoy,
Kanin o tinapay, 1/3 ng plato mo.
Pinggang Pinoy,
Isda o karne, 1/6 ng plato mo.
Pinggang Pinoy,
Pinggang Pinoy.
In the food industry, ensuring the quality and safety of consumer products is always the priority. To meet this need, food manufacturers frequently rely on food testing laboratories to determine the nutritional content of food products and to examine its possible microbial and chemical contaminants to comply with regulatory requirements. Philippine regulatory bodies take the lead in ensuring that local laboratories have the capability to generate internationally acceptable analytical data. One of their bases in evaluating the competence of laboratory is the result of their continuous participation in proficiency testing scheme. Proficiency testing is an effective tool to determine the performance of a laboratory through an inter-laboratory comparison. DOST-FNRI, through its proficiency testing laboratory, provides affordable, accessible, and reliable PT programs to support testing laboratories in their ISO 17025 accreditation. From 2006 to date, PT rounds were organized based on international standard, which includes PT on physical-chemical analysis on different food matrices. These FNRI PT rounds were participated in by 20 to 70 local and foreign laboratories. Seminars, trainings, or workshops are also organized after every PT round where participating laboratories are provided with knowledge that may possibly help them to improve their laboratory performance. Currently, the Proficiency Testing Laboratory of the DOST-FNRI is the only ISO IEC 17043-2010 accredited proficiency testing provider in the Philippines, and is able to sustain and continuously expand its accreditation for 8 years. Aside from providing PT schemes, the laboratory also offers reference materials generated from PT rounds, which can be used for quality assurance purposes. Announcements on how to participate in the FNRI PT rounds, results of the current PT round, available reference material of the FNRI PTL, and their future plans are all made available in the IFNRI website.